Star Wars 7x7, episode 2644. We're continuing with our series of looks at Star Wars Visions. Today, we're looking at episode 7, which is The Elder, and we'll take some filmmaker-focused highlights and mix them in here as well. Punch it. Hey Rebel Rouser, I'm Alan Voivod and this is Star Wars 7x7, your daily dose of Star Wars joy, and thank you so much for joining me for it. So The Elder, right? This is episode 7 in Star Wars Visions, and as with previous episodes, we'll talk about some top takeaways, 5 top takeaways from the particular episode. So we'll start by talking about the fact that this is actually from one of the studios that got to do 2 of the Star Wars Visions shorts. The studio is called Trigger, and apparently their other one, The Twins, is of a style of anime that they are more closely associated with. So this quiet and pensive, as it was described in the Filmmaker Focus episode, version of an anime story is unusual, I guess, from Trigger, but one that they have the ability to do, and they did pretty well. But it is kind of amazing to see the episodes and reflect on the trailers that we've seen prior to the release of Star Wars Visions, and the moment of the Elder doing his little laugh seems comedic when you see it in the flash of the Visions trailer, but is definitely not that when you see it in this episode. And we are in full spoiler territory. I mean, I don't necessarily think I'm gonna be outright spoiling it, but in order to discuss, just there's the fair warning. And yeah, I don't think we're really gonna dig that deeply into it necessarily, though. And so speaking of the Elder, that's the second thing we're gonna talk about, whether he is a Sith or not, because he's waving around red lightsabers, and the Jedi senses a dark presence that may or may not be Sith, and his ship, the Elder's ship, is one that seems to look like something the Jedi Master has seen in the Sith Hollows just way back when, but hasn't seen any of them previously. And it's certainly a dark side of the Force presence, and somebody who's able to hide his presence from the Jedi, which of course puts you in mind of Sheev Palpatine, who was able to hide his dark side presence from the Jedi around him. But what the Elder says about the Sith is really fascinating, and this is basically the quote. He says, "The Sith were obsessed with trying to outwit each other, and they completely neglected their destiny as a result, and so now they're extinct." That's his explanation for what the deal is with the Sith and why there aren't any in the galaxy at this particular point in time in, wherever this is taking place. Or whenever, I should say, because Habbo is the name of the planet where it's taking place somewhere in the Outer Rim. And that perspective, could come into play when we talk about timelines a little bit later in the show. Now, the third thing I want to talk about is some things that the episode does that are kind of common across all of these Star Wars Visions episodes that we haven't really talked about. First of all, it's really fascinating that I think just about every single Visions episode we've talked about so far has some character saying they've got a bad feeling about this, right? That absolutely classic Star Wars line has appeared, I believe, in just about every single one. I think the Duel didn't have it. I'm gonna have to go back and double check, but I've been taking notes, and it's either the Duel or there was one other one, but I think it's been in at least 6 of the 7 that I've watched so far. So that's kind of crazy. And also, the characters' names aren't necessarily given to us in these various episodes, and so you have to go to the Filmmaker Focus, or you have to look at the end credits to get full character names, and that's kind of interesting. Like, there's not always an introduction. So we get the Padawan's name, Dan, in this, and the person who's referred to as the Elder in the Vision short is actually listed as an old man in the credits, and the Jedi Master's name is never even given in the episode at all. But yeah, so if you look at the credits, it's Tajin Crosser, that's the Jedi Master's name, and Dan's last name is Vagash, I think, or Gavash. Gavash, G apostrophe V-A-S-H. All right, here we go to the fourth discussion thing, and this is similar to what we've been developing over the course of these episodes, which is whether this could possibly continue. And the story is certainly left with a bit of mystery because the origin of the Elder and where he came from and where his ship came from, that is a mystery. Like, we don't get to learn more about what the Elder's deal is or where he came from, who he's been associated with, anything like that. But the way that the episode ends, it doesn't suggest that, oh, this is a mystery that we have to get to the bottom of. It's more presented as, well, I guess this is going to be a mystery that we'll never get to solve because we are not going to be able to get the evidence that we need out of what we have left. So also, I would say, unlike some of the other Vision shorts, or the majority of the other Vision shorts, this one definitely seems like it's meant to just kind of stay here, although, it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility to see these characters, to see Tajin and Dan in other stories, perhaps. And that's where I want to take things for this fifth and final point, which is the whole canon timeline thing of, if they were in the canon timeline, where would they be? And so their Jedi ship doesn't necessarily suggest anything that you can grab a hold of, but the one thing that seems to be an indicator is the fact that as they're discussing the Sith presence that they felt, the Sith haven't been around for quote-unquote hundreds of years. And so that really does suggest that we are in kind of a High Republic timeline. And though the robes of these two Jedi, they seem like really high quality and in line with the kinds of robes that we've seen on the Jedi in concept art for the High Republic, but it's definitely not clearly stated that we're in the High Republic era by any stretch of the imagination. It just really kind of has that feel, potentially, that's like the only place where it makes sense in the timeline. And you get the idea that even though the Jedi Master has spent a lot of time in the Outer Rim, the Padawan has not, and this is, brand new, and there's something in there that just made me think this feels like, it feels like it's definitely in the past comparatively in Star Wars, as opposed to being potentially like in the future. So you would have to be, hundreds of years beyond the Rise of Skywalker to be able to create the kind of scenario that's described by the Jedi Master Tajin in this story. So I'm saying High Republic-ish, or maybe slightly before it, perhaps. That's my guess on the matter. And that's what I've got for you for The Elder, which again is episode 7 for Star Wars Visions, and that is going to do it for this episode of the podcast as well. It just remains for me to say thank you so much for joining me for it as always, and may the Force be with you wherever in the world you may be.
7x7 is not endorsed or sponsored yet by Lucasfilm Limited, Disney, or 20th Century Fox, and is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Star Wars, the Star Wars logo, all names and pictures of Star Wars characters, vehicles, and any other Star Wars-related items are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of Lucasfilm Limited, or their respective trademark and copyright holders. May the Force be with them. All original content is copyright 2021 by Star Wars 7x7. We hope you love it.